doing administrative work. They hate it.
True.
The easier you can make it for them is the more accurate and the more they'll actually do it.
So the primary usage, we use it practically every day, as Dwayne says. Anytime we are called out or we have to go to a location, no matter what. So whether it's recurring maintenance, delivery of items, what else would you say? Delivery, basically everything.
Yeah.
Because we have a policy. Once we touch an equipment, a work order is created. The work order is created and it's linked to that asset. So we use it for everything basically in our day-to-day, where the technical department is concerned.
Yeah, as Damien said, what he uses it for is actually if they're doing a delivery, if they're doing maintenance, if they're doing repairs, even if it's just a regular call out. We had a site visit recently that a customer wanted us to quote on maintenance. So we used ServiceBridge at the time to do an inventory count. So because on that work order, you can add all the pictures, we just went around snapping model number, serial number, condition, anything that pops up. So even for things like that, that's not necessarily a billable job, we find use for it. And that is still separate and apart from all the background administrative stuff. When it is that you have new employees that you start, this is when they started, this is when it is that they left. If it is that we're doing reports, the reports in terms of the man hours that we spend on site, the amount of assets that we have for a particular customer. There's one customer that we have, and it's not necessarily our largest customer in terms of value, but that one customer has 73 locations, over 180 pieces of equipment. So you can imagine trying to manage all of that with paper. It's next to impossible. So yeah, those are some of the cases where even if it is that it may not be on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of value in having that information available on hand. So for me, one of the first things I always mention is the support, as well as the fact that it has the service portal. So that customer that we mentioned with the 180 assets, one of the critical things for them is how do they access that data? Because some of those entities are government entities, and every now and again they get audited. Did that contractor actually maintain that piece of equipment that he said he did? How do I know that that's true? Well, here's the work order. The work order has pictures, it has signatures from the person on site. Those things are invaluable. It's to the point now where it becomes so much a part of what we do, it's difficult to consider that it isn't standard. It's like when you go in your car and you have the button to wind up the windows. Just thinking that there was a moment in time where you had to crank that manually. For people now, they're like, really? That's what you have to do? So like, no, just having some of those features, it's like, yeah, this is what we do. So what do you do?
To add to a point that Dwayne made about the inventory, it's central so everyone has access, because even at that location, we had 3 teams doing different inventories. So I don't have to say, okay, here, take up this piece of paper and say, here, Dwayne, this is my list. He can log on and see what team 1 does, what team 2 does, team 3 does. He doesn't have to call anybody and say, hey, I'm calling you and not getting you, so I can't move forward with this, say, proposal. All of that information is there for everyone who has access to see. It's hard to quantify, but I can say that it does help, especially in that case, in that scenario, it helps with the troubleshooting. So let's say a customer calls with an issue on a particular unit. It's easy for me to just pull up that asset, look at the previous work orders and notes and see what the last notes that the technician left. So I can say, okay, cool. So if you made a note that this sounded a bit off, let's say the fan bearing sounded a bit off, and I know that the customer called with, let's say, a high pressure. We're dealing with cooling, by the way. I can already know that, okay, cool. So I don't need to go to the location and then come back for equipment or materials and then go back. I can just look and say, cool. So the last thing that he made a note of was the fan. So I know that cool. Let me just walk with a fan just in case. And more often than not, it saves us that extra trip. So it saves time, it saves gas.
Money, fuel. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if we are going, let's say, far from our base of operations. So it helps. So it's hard to quantify to say it saves us 2 hours, 3 hours, but we know it saves us time, man hours, and money.
It's incalculable.
Yeah, we mainly use a service vehicle for the heavy lifting. So let's say we have a customer that is closer to a location, he would just use his personal vehicle. But in helping in that way, the scheduling, so we can just say, hey, we create the work order, assign it to him. He gets that notification on his phone via the app, and he knows that, okay, cool. So he doesn't have to come to the base. He can just head to the location because it's closer to him. So we have a tech that is literally on the other side of the island, literally on the other side. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jamaica, but we are in Kingston and he's in Montego Bay. So
And
he's literally on the other side.
other side of the island, about approximately how many miles or hours would that drive be to get from one side to the other?
About
4 hours.
yeah, 4, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so that
about
would take
four.
it would take a long time,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. So
That's
for that,
8 hours round trip.
yeah.
Mhm.
So for that particular customers, they use a lot of UPS batteries. So that is where that would come in. So we say, okay, cool. So especially when routine maintenance is coming up, we say, okay, cool. So I see here where your stock is low. So let me just send down some batteries to you so that when you start, you can go. There's no hiccups.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, we use it literally every day. Well, I have my quarterly report that I need to do, and it helps. Instead of me trying to calculate how many hours we spent on UPS, comfort cooling, precision cooling, I just filter the report and I get all of that information right there. It makes my job so much easier when that is needed. And when a customer needs to know, okay, how much UPS do I have at this location and that location? All of that is there as well.
Yeah, click, 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 and it's there. And
And it's
and
there.
to add to what Damien mentioned in terms of even the hours, the man hours, what that also helps us to do is our recruiting. So
Yeah.
if it is that when we pull a report, we can say, okay, where is the bulk of the time spent on what area? Is it more on the cooling side? Is it more on the power side of it? Is it on the data cabling side? How much hours do we spend doing delivery? So every year when we say, okay, where it is that we need to invest in terms of additional manpower.
And they say, okay, so I don't see you with any books or anything for me to sign because that is the norm. I was like, yeah, no, I just pop out the phone, and because I have a Samsung, so I have the pen. So I just give them the pen and the phone and say, hey, signature here. And I remember when he looked at me and he's like, so this is it? I said, yeah, this is it. So I just show him this is the before pics and the after, and they love that, but we'll get to that point. He said, this is the before pics, this is the after pics, this is the notes. He looked, and he signed, and I'm like, do you want me to send this to your email right now, or you don't want it? And he was like, yeah, send it. But I know that he had a little bit of doubt. So when I signed off the order, he signed, I closed it up. Do you want to send email to this customer? Yes. And he got it right then and there. He looked at his phone, he looked at me, looked at his phone, he looked at me, and he's like, yeah. And I see where just because of that and the customer portal, it has given us a lot of business because it's so different. It's so different. And especially for those that the person in charge, let's say the person in charge of a technical department, a lot of times they are not in office, and they are overseas traveling wherever. The fact that they can be wherever and get that email and say, okay, so this is what happened with that unit. When their bosses call and say, hey, what happened here? Oh yeah, this is the report from the contractor, and they have it. Love it. up to the other day, we still get a little customers every now and then that are still surprised by it, because as what Dwayne said, how is this not the standard? Person still out there using paper, and I remember one of the hospitals, they're saying, yes, this is good because paper, a lot of paper is bad for the environment. So so this is good, the digital is good. And to add, even the templates, let's say, use the same example. You work on 50 pieces of equipment. Oh, you do save a lot of time, because each time you open one of those work orders, you have to type, okay, input voltage is this, output voltage is this. But with the templates, you just punch in the number. So that in itself, you save time. It may save you a 5 minutes or 3 minutes, but if you stretch that over a quarter, over a couple of years, you see where that adds up.
Same, but what
Okay.
it is that we gain is really the efficiency. So they'll come over and they'll say, "Oh, wait, this is pretty cool. Why didn't we have this at the old place? This makes my job so much easier." And as Damien mentioned, if it is that, it can even be tired, it can even be fatigue. You check the things that you know you need to check, just the core stuff. You go to maintain your car, they may not check the tire pressure, but if it's on a checklist, then it's there to be done.
Yeah.
The tires look fine, but did you actually check them? Because again, it's on the checklist. So it helps even with new technicians when they come over. Every new technician that we have ever gotten, they love it.